Hawks Nation, what is going on? Welcome to another edition of the HawksFanTV podcast. I am your host, Mac. I am joined by my co-host, the one and only Mr. Derek Freeze.
What's
Um,
up, Hawk Nation?
exactly. What's up, Hawks Nation? Hope you guys are staying happy and healthy out there. We got an exciting episode. We finally got some live basketball to review, so we're going to get into that in just a second. Also, going to see if we can make some Siakam trade predictions. See what we are feeling on that one.
It
But
never
before
dies.
Exactly. Before we get into this episode, though, I do want to shout out the Atlanta Dream. They're on a 5-game winning streak, and before I checked, right before this recording at 8:30 here on Wednesday night of July 12th, they are up by 15 points at the half. So the Atlanta Dream, I want to give you guys all the flowers that you deserve right now. You guys are kicking some ass, and that's awesome. Representing the city well. So like I said, we'll go ahead and jump into the review of these summer league games. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching live basketball again. This Hawks team has honestly been pretty fun, and I don't know what Vegas was talking about by putting us as the lowest odds to win. We have 7 points right now. I don't really know how the points work, but we got 7 points right now, and we're in fourth place. So
You're
I think
stealing my notes, Mac. You're stealing my notes. God.
oh God, man, I didn't mean to take it, man. I'm sure you got plenty of good notes in there, man. Don't worry. But yeah, man, it's been fun so far. Obviously, we ended up losing that first game of the Kings. And then obviously since then have beat the Nuggets and the Timberwolves today, which was a little matinee for everybody, which was pretty nice. For those of people that like myself that work from home, it was, just turn the TV on behind you and there you go.
Well, it's also great not to be up till 2:30 at night watching basketball.
That was actually the first thing I said to myself. Dude, it's so nice not to stay up all night. Derek and I are getting a little older, guys. Our bedtime is getting earlier and earlier each day, I swear.
I have
Man.
I have my son up for that first game, and he wears me out every time I have him up. So I'm sitting there trying to watch the game with him, and first quarter just out.
Oh yeah.
Thank God for DVR.
Right, exactly. Thank God for DVR. But yeah, man, I've liked what I've seen. I'll say this. I think obviously the main person that everybody's analyzing for the Hawks right now in summer league has got to be Kobe Buffkin. He's our first round pick. We took him 14th overall. He was an McDonald's All-American coming out of high school. Played well at Michigan. But we've gone on all over that. Let's talk about what we've seen out of Mr. Buffkin in a Hawks uniform so far. I got to admit that first game, man, he looked a little overwhelmed running the point. I don't think he was super confident in it. He had 4 of 14 shootings, and my man had a triple eight, not a triple H, a triple eight. That was 8 turnovers, 8 points, and 8 fouls. I don't know. Summer league, obviously, for those who don't know, you can have a little more fouls than normal. And Kobe made sure he chalked up all of them. He got 8 fouls. So gotta admit, man, and only having 3 assists on top of that, it just wasn't a great game. You're allowed to have a bad game. It's not like I needed to see some sort of prolific stats out of him in that first game. But what the kid did is something that you and I have talked about in previous episodes about him. He got in the film room because he's a film junkie and he watched a ton of film. He watched his opponent's film. He watched his film. And guess what he did in game 2? He had a nice bounce back game, man. I was thoroughly impressed with Mr. Buffkin in game 2. 17 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 4 threes. He was plus 10 on the floor and just looked like he could honestly run the floor a little bit more. I also saw that today as well. I think he's from what I saw today in the game, I think Buffing's going to be a stud, man. I don't know about you, but I'm very excited about this guy.
No, I mean, yeah, first game. I mean, heck, I don't know if y'all remember, but Trey Young's first game in summer league wasn't exactly the best either. And also, it is summer league. Like these guys just got thrown together and got told to go play basketball. Like obviously seemed to be a clear directive from the Hawks, even though he played more of a combo guard at Michigan to, hey, we're going to hand you the ball. We're going to get you outside your comfort zone a little bit and have you run point for most of the game, except for a couple of times when AJ was running, especially in that first game. Some of the stuff he did see, some of his passing was good. He did make some horrible turnovers. But you saw the floater. Like the guy would sit there and, drive to the right and then do a left-hand floater. Like he had no hesitation shooting the ball, even when it wasn't falling. Like in summer league, a lot of times you hear people say scouts aren't looking at stats, they're looking at traits. And what you saw, especially after game 1, when Antonio Lang was giving the guy all the praise in the world when he said, hey, he asked us immediately, I need tape of this game I need tape on the Nuggets. And you did see he took that big step in that game too, where he was still being aggressive. He was still his first step getting into the paint was still there. But he was also, while still playing aggressive and playing fast, he also like they seemed to slow down a little bit more for him. So really excited to see him there. Obviously, you heard me saying the draft recap or the draft recap about him, like weight room definitely showed itself several times that he is scrawny, and he's definitely got to get in there. But the kid is only 19, so yeah, he's got a couple years to fill in. But definitely, it's very encouraging what to see out of him, as well as the Nets guy that we drafted. It was also very encouraging everything we saw out of him and
Yeah, speaking of
Muhammad
scrawny,
Gay. Matt, tell me what you saw because I fell in love with this dude watching him.
oh man, Muhammad Gay, honestly, like he's got to be probably the player that I'm most excited about at this point. He's got a ton of potential. Now, whether that potential is ever fully tapped into or not is obviously to be determined, and it's going to have to take a lot of good coaching from Quinn and his staff, and some good leadership from the veteran players around him. But ooh, man, he's got some bounce in him. There's that one dunk that he almost had against the Nuggets. I know he didn't connect on it. If he would have, it would have been probably the play of all of summer league. But
Da-na-na,
just
da-na-na.
one, have the confidence to go up there and try and make that play, and two, even have the physical ability to do it. Whew, man, Muhammad Gay has definitely impressed me a lot. Both games dropped. Well, the first two games rather, both dropped 10 points in each. Five rebounds in the first, 6 rebounds in the second. So he's shown that he can really get all over the floor. He had 2 threes in the second game, and he was 3 of 5 shooting. So he's had honestly a pretty efficient night. So it's you see him make these effort plays on defense. Like there was a play towards the end of the game in today's game against the Timberwolves. It was probably, I want to say, about about a minute and 20 seconds left. And somebody on the Timberwolves, I can't remember the player, but goes up and Case stuffs him, man. Like, it was, you could make the argument that it was basically a game-winning play. Like, you honestly could make that argument because the game was that close today against the Timberwolves, and he just continues to impress, man. I'm incredibly excited about him. And my note on the game today is Muhammad Gay is just fun. He's just fun to watch, man. He's high energy, he's high effort. You can tell he's just somebody that has an incredible amount of love for the game. Whether that's because like it's been reported before, he hasn't played his entire life like maybe some of the other guys out there. So he's just got this passion for the game that I'm sure is going to rub off on his teammates, whether that is in an 8 or 10 man rotation of the Hawks or on the Skyhawks for a season or two. But I'm so excited about this guy, man.
No, it was our first glimpse of him, and God, just the raw athleticism just showed itself. And I realized after listening to last week's episode, I never finished my thought when I was sitting there talking about him at Washington State, but like they did ask him to play the 5 a lot more, but he it's gonna play the 4. I was happy to see him at the 4, happy to see him on the perimeter. He does, like you said, he has a lot of bounce, but he's also very good at switching on defenders. He did in game 1 against the Kings. He baited a guy into the block right there. Was it in the first? And then immediately right down the court, he almost brought the house down twice. First in game 1, and then the one you alluded to against the Nuggets, where he just launched that thing back there. And I'm like, if that thing connects, that whole place is gonna just come down. He's passed really well. Also, the coaches told him to shoot the ball, shoot it from 3. And you kind of saw it there. Like in game 2, he hit 2 threes and back-to-back possessions just about from different spots on the floor. It's not like he's just hitting it from one spot. He's hitting it from several different spots. And in this last game, he also sat there and he had a fadeaway where he had a smaller guy on his backing him down, which he's face up has always looked a little bit better with him. But when he battened down and turned around and hit that soft little fadeaway with that good little shooting touch that just softly just landed in. Yes, I know it's summer league. Like I said, don't get too caught up in the stats and stuff. But man, it's just a lot of fun to watch the guy. And he freaking jumps like a deer. It seems like he goes from ground to 8 foot above the rim, with a quickness. There's several times today, even he jumped up and he put his hand down because he realized he was about to be hit with a goaltending. He's like, just sky high up in the air. So, really encouraging to see the stuff what we've seen out of him so far. Definitely, yeah, probably see some time with the Sky Hawks this year, but definitely encouraged from what we saw. I'm definitely like Fields did a great job of getting that guy from Boston for just 2 future round picks because this guy does not look like a second rounder right off the rip here. And that goes into our next guy. Like we kind of talked, I said, hey, the first guy, McGay, the second round, this guy's raw athletic. And then there's Seth Lundy, who we knew what he was coming in for. He was coming in for shooting and defense. And man, he did everything he was supposed to do. And especially in a summer league where, it is more for the ball dominant players that usually get to showcase their stuff more than a complimentary guy like him. But dude showed up on defense, showed up on three. I mean, what's your take, Matt?
I mean, honestly, I'm thoroughly impressed. Lundy's best game was hands down today. He had 4 threes in the first half. I believe ended up with 14 points, and was just all over the floor, man. He was getting rebounds. He was getting steals.
Quick release.
I'm sorry.
Quick release too.
Oh yeah. No, so I think he looked great. He in the first game, I think he didn't do much on the offensive end, and that's okay. But he looked great on defense, which honestly, he's going to be D and 3 guy, or 3-and-D guy. That's what he's going to be. So him showing the defense was great. Second game, had a serviceable game. Dropped, I think it was 9 points, and again looked good on defense. Nothing that's worthy of writing home about. But I think in game 3, it honestly all came together for him. It's when he definitely got the most amount of minutes that he's gotten in the summer league, and I wouldn't be surprised if Antonio Lang was honestly told him before the game today, like, "Hey man, go off. It's you got the green light today." So they even said it during the broadcast. They were like, Seth Lundy shooting could work very well against along with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. And it's like exactly that's exactly what we need. So don't get me wrong, man. I don't think it'll be one of those things where he has an immediate impact, but who knows, man? Even by mid-March, April, and into the playoffs, he could at that point have his his legs underneath him and honestly play a huge role for us. So I'm excited about him. I got to say, all 3 guys, I think they've shown their weaknesses, and I think they've shown their strengths too, which is honestly kind of ideal. I know that sounds weird that like you want them to show their weaknesses, and it's like, yeah, man, they're rookies. Of course, they're not coming in as completely polished players. They still have to work on their game a little bit, and the way that it seems like all 3 of them are able to, especially Kobe, very quickly address their flaws. Ooh, man, I'm excited.
How do you respond to adversity? And
Exactly.
This is where you want to find it out at. The fact that they, like I said, it was a clear directive. Kobe, you're running point, even though you were a combo guard. Like, hey, let's get you outside your comfort zone a little bit. Let's see how you handle the situation. But what you're talking about with Seth Lundy, too, like what we know about the NBA is shooting is at a premium. And when Quinn's system, which does like to let the threes fly, because dear God, we shot 47 threes and against the Kings. Now, some of that might be, yeah, we do have Manic, a big guy that can hit 3 and stuff like that. But even the bigs, all the bigs were, jacking up threes left and right. So, injuries are a real thing. I wish we lived in the world without them. But hey, like if we're getting 82 games, a long season, say we get in the middle of January, get to February, like, hey, you got a couple guys injured. Could he come off the bench, play some defense, and get us a couple, stand in the corner there for Trae or someone to kick out to him? I mean, I think I could get 5 to 10 minutes out of him, maybe.
Yeah, man. I completely agree. I think it's, to be completely honest, because of his age too, and just his more than likely his IQ of the game and that maturity that just, I'm not putting Kobe or Muhammad down by any means, but that when you're 23 compared to 19, it's a little different. And anybody who is older than the age of 23 knows what I'm talking about. So, I think he, like I said, I don't know if the immediate impact is necessarily going to be there for any one of them, but I think he could make an impact down the road. You mentioned my guy Manic. I was excited about him coming on our roster in the first place. That first game, I honestly felt very vindicated by my feelings on that. Dude was lit it up, man. He went on a 9-0 run by himself to give us the lead. We ended up losing that lead and losing the game, but man, it was great, man. He came back down to earth a little bit in the second game. I mean, he still put up 10 points and 6 rebounds. It's not like he had a horrible game by any means, but he really did go from 2014 Kyle Korver to 2016 Kyle Korver real quick. So and no disrespect, Kyle, but 14 and 16, those were two different players. So yeah, it's Manic was honestly,
Just
man,
fun.
because it was Friday night, it was late. I just got back from a Luke Combs concert in Tampa, so I gotta admit it was damn fun him lighting it up like that. So
Yeah, fun. Like the guy played overseas in Australia and Turkey this past year. Like if he keeps shooting like this, like, and I mean, he didn't do a terrible job on defense either. He's shooting like this, like, come on, like Skyhawks, like right down the road. Let's send him down there and let that red beard light it up down there with him. Because and not just him as a big man, Cal Bengelli, if I'm saying his name right, that Joker,
Captain
he
Jelly.
looks like I mean, I know he's older, but he looks like an NBA player. It looks like he should be on a team. Now, is
Well,
it with
hold
the
on. Captain Jelly is a former first round pick. 4 years ago, the Pacers took him in the first round. So he hasn't panned out to be a first round pick yet, obviously. But I mean, you're exactly right in that like the dude has an NBA body and NBA talent. It's
he's
just
a
got to come
load.
together for him. It's just got to come
He's a
together.
load.
Yeah, no, I like Captain Jelly a lot. I don't know if
He's
he'll
a
make
third center. He's a
yeah,
third center on someone's team.
for sure, for sure. And maybe like I said, I know you don't normally use two-way contracts on big men, but maybe somebody uses one on him. But he's definitely definitely a good player. But I gotta say, man, the guy who the first two games, I think he looked a little off, especially in the first game. He had 1 of 8 shooting, but man, today he showed that summer league legend that is for the Atlanta Hawks. That is Tyrese Martin, because this guy, like, honestly, man, I fell in love with him last summer. He, ended up making a roster spot. Played in College Park a little bit this season as last season. Never really saw the floor. But still was somebody that I was like, this guy is incredibly talented. Dude dropped 14 points in the fourth quarter today, and won the game for us, quite frankly. He went off, man. He really wants that roster spot. He, got 9 boards to go along with those 14 points. And man, this is a guy that, if you guys remember, started at Rhode Island and went to UConn with Dan Hurley. His mom ended up getting laid off during the pandemic, and he had to take a full-time job while he was in school and, training to be an NBA player. Like, I mean, this guy he's just life gives him lemons and he makes lemonade, man. Like I swear, man, this guy is easy to cheer for, and he's just somebody that I really hope does make the roster at the end of the day. Vic Krejci, honestly, in the first two games, I think he did look better than Tyrese, but in game three, I think Tyrese kind of took that spot in my mind. But again, a guy that's just so easy to cheer for, and I'd love to see him make a spot for sure.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Game one, offensively, was definitely not his best showing at all. But the whole team was shooting terrible. Yeah. It was a rough game for both teams, both the Hawks and the Kings. Someone had to win it though. It wasn't us. But yes, he did win that game for us today. He took the game over. Him and Crunchy, I think, are going to be fighting for a spot on the team. Martin today, yes, did he play better? But I think overall, I still kind of like Crunchy's game a little bit more for the NBA level. Today, at the end, he was driving, he was scoring a lot. I don't think he'll be able to do that the next level the same way. Now, his defense is better than Crunchy, but Crunchy's passing. Like, he's a point wing, man. Like, he can get into the paint and like he'll throw that thing around. I'm sitting there like, where is he throwing it to? To a wide open shooter across the freaking court. I'm like, how are you seeing this, man? Like, was really positive what I saw there. Like, I mean, the guy's also actually younger than Martin, even though he's had more years in the NBA. It's been a lot of fun watching those two guys. I would love to have them both. Maybe I know we're kind of approaching some roster crunch situations. Both of them aren't guaranteed yet. Martin doesn't become guaranteed until later on this month. Crunchy's contract's not guaranteed until January, so I think we're going to still see them battle it out. It's going to be interesting to see which way it goes. But I mean, I love the fire out of both those guys, and the fact that like you watched today, even I saw where the cameras go to them. These guys obviously think no, they're fighting for a spot together. They're fighting for each other's spot, and they're sitting there talking to each other, like laughing with each other, coaching each other up, saying like I saw Crunchy kind of pointing and Martin kind of pointing, talking through each other. So both guys seem like just great dudes to have on your team. Like I said before, like I love, anytime the Hawks do something good, Crunchy's always the first dude off the bench, yelling and stuff. So it's really looking forward to seeing at least one more game out of these guys before probably we're going to have to make a decision on Martin at least. And then we'll kind of get to see which way we go because we've already used 2 of our 3 two-way contract spots with Seth Lundy and Miles Norris, who didn't play game 1. He did came in game 2 and game 3. All right. I mean, he's definitely a guy that can, he can play some defense. He can definitely hit an outside shot. Don't have too many notes on him, but he is our second two-way guy. Now, Trent Forrest is a guy that we do have to make a decision on. He is unrestricted. He's a restricted free agent. We did give him an offer sheet for a two-way. So if he does eat up that last two-way contract spot, then it will come down to Crunchy or Martin for a actual roster spot of the 15. Because you do get 15 roster spots with 3 two-ways now.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, man. Those last few roster spots, realistically aren't going to be your missing pieces for a championship, but we've seen on a lot of championship teams, they're going to have to make big plays at some point in the season, whether that's regular season or the postseason. So, yeah, that's a great point, man. And before we wrap up our talk on the Summer League, I think it bears mentioning that today, for those of you that didn't see, there was a cool little shot of the sideline at one point, and it was none other than Mike Krzyzewski from Duke, formerly from Duke, Quinn Snyder, formerly from Duke, now with the Atlanta Hawks, and DeJounte Murray. And I thought that was a very cool shot. I took a picture of it on my TV and everything. And then we all got a little surprise, little quick interview with DeJounte on the sideline. And look, man, DeJounte is quickly becoming one of my favorite Atlanta Hawks of all time. Like, I love this guy. What I think he represents for this team and for this city is unmatched. And, there's a few comments today that just really stuck out to me that make me, just so damn happy that we were able to re-sign him. The first one was that he said that him and Quinn text every day. And the interviewer even asked him, do you guys ever joke? Or is it just basketball? And he's like, oh man, we talk about everything. So I think that honestly is him, giving some level of admission of it isn't just basketball talk. Like, this man is, wants to know me as a person, not just a basketball player. And I think that matters so much because, as we said when Quinn got hired, he's the type of coach to have an emphasis on the relationships with his players. And, the modern NBA player, the modern athlete, really, that matters. It matters. I don't know if it mattered as much 40 years ago, but it matters today. And he said about Trey, that Trey is, the head of the snake, and that, his team, we're here for him. He said that this is Trey's team, Trey's franchise, basically. Trey has earned the right to be the leader of, a title contending team. And I think that's something that maybe, I think he's honestly coming out and publicly saying that because maybe that is something that kind of wasn't exactly established last year. Maybe it was who is the leader? And it's no, I think DeJounte is realizing, hey man, I'm a damn good player myself. Trae Young could end up being an all-time great. Let's get behind this guy and make sure he gets some rings to add to that legacy. And the last comment that he said that honestly just made me grin from ear to ear, man. I literally I jumped up when he said it. He said, he's got a ton of awareness of the entire situation, and he said it's going to be better than it was before. And that's, look, man, I know that's not him guaranteeing anything or, like honestly using that much emotion behind what he's saying. But I think when players as good as DeJounte Murray say things like that, you got to take it serious, man, because the Hawks are just going to be a different team this next year. And, I mean, yeah, no, it's just going to be a different team. And I think we all need to get very excited.
I mean, it's funny. Last week we were talking about when the Siakam stuff wasn't, going to plan, and we started talking about the extension. And then as soon as we hit in, naturally he signs the extension. And I texted you today, and I was trailing behind watching the game. Also working on some work. I said, I don't believe this extension happens without Quinn Snyder being our coach. The fact that he's always sitting right there, they're sitting there talking the whole time. The both Seattle guys, which they do talk about, but like DeJounte just seems to have really taken to him. And like, I don't think he signs that extension with Quinn Snyder's not our head coach, because obviously he could probably get $5 to $10 million more per year. Now, 4 years, $120 million is still nothing. Yeah, that's still a 9-figure contract. But all the stuff, talk about loyalty. He just always says the right thing. He always does the right things, calling the rookies or calling the guys right after they get drafted, reaching out the tray. Like, he is so mature beyond his years, it seems like. And I'm so happy to have him on our team. He is definitely, I'm getting his, whatever the city jersey is this year, I'm getting a Murray one. That's for damn sure.
Hell yeah, man.
Quickly become one of my favorite Hawks too. I'm so glad we have him locked up for 4 years, $120 million. Also, kind of really happy. I'm sure this is going to segue into our next thing. Is part of that extension is he can't be traded for 6 months. So that was my big thing about this, like getting Siakam. I'm like, if DeJounte Murray is involved in this, I don't want no part of it because of how much draft capital we gave up to get this guy with 3 first-round picks and a pick swap with San Antonio. And that leads us to the next thing we're talking about, the rumor that will not die. Spicy
nice
Hawks.
Nice segue, but we're gonna pay some bills before we segue on that one. So, go ahead, guys. Listen to our message that we have from our guys over at Firm Solutions.
When you need quick, effective, and accurate data cabling services, call Firmament Solutions. We care about your network infrastructure. Our services are white labeled, so you get the contracts. We provide the services. Our expertise includes low voltage communication, networking, electrical, physical security, and life safety equipment. We're industry leaders, providing 24-hour service coverage. So we ask, when is the best time to have one of our certified technicians assist you?
All right, guys. Check them out. Firmament Solutions. You know who to call. Derek. So like you were very successfully segueing into, the rumor that won't die is because I think it's going to happen. I think it's a little bit more than a rumor, if I'm being completely honest. I got some trade predictions, like some options here, some leasing most likely, but I think I want to just make a couple comments before we really get into it. And those of you that are listening to the entire episode, you get a little treat for this one. So here's your treat. We do have sources at HawksFanTV. We have broke stories actually within the Hawks organization, and our sources are telling us that it is almost guaranteed that AJ Griffin will be included in this deal if the deal is going to happen. I don't, from what we are hearing, the Raptors are not budging on that. They don't on that they will not have AJ included in the deal. Like, AJ has to be included. I think that's the main guy they want. Obviously AJ Griffin is a fan favorite, man. Go on Hawks Twitter and just type AJ Griffin. Like, I don't think anybody's ever said a bad word about him. But the reality is that, this is a guy that is very young and, averaged right under it, sure, but, less than 10 points a game last year. And I look, I'm not downplaying AJ Griffin's skill. I'm more so just saying this isn't like, he's, freaking Jaden Ivey over there, or, I don't, Paulo Banchero or any, I'm just saying, like, it's, if we're giving up AJ Griffin to get a player like Siakam in return, I know that's going to suck, but I think we need to be okay with that as fans, if I'm being completely honest. So I'll go through some of my options real quick. Well, and then Derek and I will kind of go through the likability of all of them. First one, which I think is the least likely, would just be Clint Capella and DeAndre Hunter straight up for Siakam. The contracts would work. The trade would work. Like I said, I truly don't know if that would happen. I think that's a little too simple. I think, like I said, AJ
Especially
is
with
most
Toronto just re-signing their center. I always butcher that guy's name. Mac, help me out here. What's that guy's name? Pietre?
Hurdle, man.
Hurdle?
Jacob
For 4
Hurdle.
years, 80 mil.
Yeah, you know what? And now you're saying that, man. Let's go ahead and scratch that one. So that's unlikely. And honestly, the next three that I have all do have this included, which is a third team. A third team is more than likely going to be included. So I'll just go through these very quickly. The first one, Atlanta would be getting Pascal Siakam, and the third team involved in this one is actually Houston. So I have us getting Siakam, Jayshawn Tate, Toronto getting DeAndre Hunter, AJ Green, Alperen Seacom, Seguin, Tari Eason, and then Houston would get Clint Capella. My thinking behind that is honestly that, Houston, I don't know how legitimate it was or not. It kind of expressed this last summer that, they would be open to, signing James Harden and have him return to Houston. And really my thinking behind that is, if they're okay with having a former player to that caliber come back, why wouldn't they be okay with Clint coming back too? So clearly this front office is a little open-minded to have, a former player come back like that. And, I'll be honest, Jayshawn Tate would probably not do too much for us. He averaged just like AJ, right under 10 points. Maybe he'd have one, a couple big games here and there. But obviously the prize here is Siakam. The next two options both include Dallas.
Real quick for that one, Houston did go after Brooks Lopez, and they did not get him. So that's actually pretty viable. I mean, they know who Clint is. They love the dude.
Good point.
So I know Brooke is a stretch guy, while Clint has a 3-foot radius around the rim to which he can operate in. But
a little different style of play.
But still like one of the better big men in the league.
Yeah.
So
and so the next two options are, like I said, both include Dallas as a third team. Both have, in this one that I have, both Clint going to Dallas. And the first one is that we would get Siakam and Josh Green, and Toronto would get DeAndre Hunter, AJ Griffin, Tim Hardaway Jr., and then the Kings 2024 first round pick that we have acquired. The second one, which this is the one that I'd be the most open to. I don't know if it's the most likely, but God darn it, I would love this one. It's that we get Siakam, we still get Josh Green, and we get Jalen Hardy, and Toronto gets DeAndre Hunter, AJ, Rashawn Holmes, and the Miami second round pick that we have in 2026, and then Dallas gets Clint. I look, that's probably getting greedy, and that probably won't happen because of that. Woo, man, if we got all three of those players in return, we'd be sitting pretty. But obviously that would probably mean that minutes would be taken away from somebody like a Buffkin or a Lundy, or, maybe even a Muhammad Gay in some way. And I got to be honest with you, from what I've seen in Summer League, I kind of want those guys to get the minutes. So, but yeah, I'll say this: the most likely at this point, it will include a third team, and that third team, whether it's Houston, Dallas, maybe no, not in Indiana, but whatever the third team is more than likely going to be the team that gets Clint Capella.
I mean, yeah, we're kind of competing with Indiana.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
I think that's why my brain thought of Indiana, honestly. But
I would love to have Siakam in this. I mean, obviously there's Indiana out there. Are the Heat finally going to get tired of going after Damian Lillard? Would they try to come after? What we don't want to get is a bid war if we are going to do this. Like what you put out there, I do kind of like, especially if Siakam will, resign. Now, if we have a 1-year rental, we win a championship. Like, hey, I'm never going to complain. I don't hear Toronto fans complaining about Kawhi Leonard.
I was literally about to say, man, Kawhi Leonard, nobody's complaining about that. So, yeah, I'm right there with you.
But, God, I mean, just imagine, Trey, DJ, Siakam, Onyeka in this case, because we obviously know Clint's going to go out. Who's the other starter? Do we go JJ? I think we go Babe for the shooting, don't you? Like, spacing the floor out more. It'd be a little bit more like kind of our run to the Eastern Conference Finals when we had shooters all over the place, and still have Bogey coming off the sixth man coming off the bench, and it's the second unit. Oof.
Yeah, and that's
terrifying for the Eastern
I'd rather
Conference.
Jalen get the start at the 4 than Bay, but I think either one would work.
Jalen's defense definitely better. It's just I worry about. I mean, Siakam can, he can hit threes and stuff, but Bay shooting, dear God. Yeah, either way, like I trust Quinn to if you give him this and say, hey, make an offensive scheme, pretty sure he won't need Viagra to pop a boner with his wife that night. That's what I'm saying. that is a coach like Quinn Snyder's wet dream of an offense right there.
Derek, this is a family show. I'm kidding. Yeah, no, man. I completely agree. It'll be interesting to see, man. I honestly I wouldn't be shocked at all if when we record our episode next week, that's what we're talking about is the Siakam trade and the details of it and what we gave up and what we got in return. But you know what? It will more than likely be that the next week we have our continued predictions of the Siakam trade. But hey, man, that's what we do here at HawksFanTV. We cover Hawks news for you guys, and we love it. Love doing it more than anything out there. So definitely thank you guys for the support. We'll get you out of here on that. Obviously go to our website, check out our articles at HawksFanTV.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well at HawksFanTV.com. At HawksFanTV. And as always, thank you for the support and go Hawks.
Oh yeah, and of course, not only follow HawksFanTV, but follow my man here, Matt Cummins, on Twitter at what's the handle, Matt?
Maxonville.
No, that's your Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Twitter is HawksFanTV Mac, right?
Oh yeah, HawksFanTV Mac. That's right. HawksFanTV Mac. Hey, if you're gonna follow one account, make sure you pick HawksFanTV over me. But that's okay. That's okay.
It costs nothing.
We're all one big happy family here.
But no, thank you all for support. Thank you, Matt, for having me on. It's a lot of fun, to get to sit here and get to talk, Hawks basketball, with one of my best friends, a guy that I'm a groomsman in his wedding. This is just a treat. So thank you all for the support. Most likely, just like last week, as soon as we hit end, the trade will happen. And so everything will be outdated. But hey, I hope it happens. I hope we get a good deal and we have a big three of Trey, DeJounte Murray, and freaking Siakam, Spicy P, coming to Atlanta to add a little seasoning to our lineup there.
Yes, sir. I love it. Well, y'all stay happy and healthy out there, and we'll see you next week. Go Hawks, baby.
Go Hawks. Y'all take care.